Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour.
Welcome to episode 66. Brian, the year got worse!
What are you talking about? Because they delayed the PS5 thing?
Yes, I was so looking forward to that thing, and then they just took it away from me.
Is anything else going on? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, Jim.
Nah, nothing I can think of. Well, there might be a future topic.
Yeah. I think everybody knows what's going on, and I just, hopefully everyone's staying safe. I'll just leave it at that.
Stay safe, and hopefully we can be a little distraction for an hour or two, or however long we babble.
Yeah, lots of crazy shit going on. It's all terrible, and hopefully we move past it sooner rather than later.
And then we can worry about the coof again.
Damn it, Jim. Why can't we just go back to worrying about people who think they're deers?
Probably what happened to the bees.
So, Jim, in these interesting times, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, Brian.
Please don't say Twisted Tea.
I am not.
Okay.
I am drinking the Packerland Pilsner by my good buddies at Hinterland. And let me just get my adorable little flyer together.
It's so goddamn laminated.
This is my last 3-pack from that thing too, so this is the last time. It's the end of an era. Comes in at 4.5% ABV with 19 IBUs, so nice smooth drinking little beer. First brewed to celebrate Green Bay's 1997 championship win, this beer was totally revamped in 2014. It features highest quality malted barley, German noble hops, and a Czech Pils yeast that provides an indisputable European-style Pilsner beer with crisp, clean, and classic Pilsner overtones. The perfect addition to any tailgate celebration, it comes in both cans and bottles. Try brats off the grill. Brats. Brats. I'm fucking stupid. Barbecue chicken and cheese curds with this beauty.
I think sometimes people think I'm mean to you, Jim. And
people have mentioned that a few times.
Let me say this. I think you make a very handsome Karen.
I did get compliments for that. I will say this. I got some damn fine compliments.
You know what's even great about that whole Karen thing and everything that happened with that? I didn't create that topic. You did. You called yourself a Karen.
Yes, I did. That's why I'm here, Brian.
But I think people think I did that to you.
No. That all came from up here. All from the mind of little Jimmy.
Oh, Jim. I do it all with love.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you love every second of it, you piece of shit.
But, Jim, who helped get you through college?
Oh, I'll be paying for that the rest of my life, ain't I?
So, before I get too mad, I'll ask, what are you playing? And I feel like I'm not going to like the answer.
So, before I get into that, I'm just going to say, sorry the podcast is a little bit late. The normal night that we recorded, we decided to do a power hour with our good buddies last week at Console Wars. And we got very, very, very drunk in a short amount of time. So, throwing that 2-day hangover, and here you go. Because we're old. Bitches. But, getting back on the topic there, I've been playing, what have I been playing? I played through Streets of Red on the Switch, which is
Streets of Red.
It's 16-bit inspired. It's actually more 8-bit-ish looking, kind of beat 'em up game, but it's also a throwback to a lot of hack and slashes, like Golden Axe style. But it's like set in a modern day at like a video game convention, and then everyone gets turned into zombies, so you're going through hordes of zombies and monsters. It's actually a pretty damn fun game. You have 4 different characters you can play as, and it's got some YouTubers in there too. Like, I know Try and Corey from My Life in Gaming have some bit parts in it. Jim Sterling's a boss of a level. So it's definitely made with a lot of love and a lot of love for content creators. So it's a pretty cool game. And I was also playing some Windjammers on the Switch, which is a port of an old SNK arcade game. And man, I sucked at that for a while until I got the hang of it. I was frustrated. It's actually, if you never played it, imagine air hockey, but with like characters that run around like a beach ball course and they have special powers. So very simple. It's very simple. Would make a very fun drinking game for us one day, I think.
Wait, so it's air hockey, but people running around like what?
So it's like it's one-on-one. Like, you know,
Okay.
you're a character, there's another character, and instead of just having paddles you control actual characters. So you can bounce it off the walls, and the point is just score on the other player, you know, get it past them. But you can do that with tricky turn shots, and if you hit the action button right as it gets to you at certain times, you can hit back with a power shot. Or if it gets bounced into the air, you can charge your super shot to try and fix them. So it's kind of one of those simple to play, somewhat difficult to master kind of games, but it's really fun. And the computer can be pretty tough.
Could it be compared to Rocket League?
Nah, because Rocket League's like, I mean, you can do one-on-one in that, but that's more straight-up soccer, where this, like, you have to play it, but if you played it, you would be like, oh, I see the air hockey resemblance.
Gotcha. So the first one, Streets of Red.
Yeah.
How and why did you play that?
Because I just heard a lot of people talking about it before, so I was like, yeah, I'll check it out. And I was not disappointed.
How much was it?
10, 15-ish, something like that.
Jesus.
It's not super expensive.
I know,
not too
no,
bad.
but that actually sounds like kind of high, especially for you, since you don't try a ton of new games. And see, it sounded like a $5 indie title, like, and especially it was probably on sale. And like you said, with the like YouTube creators and all that stuff, to me it just sounded like probably a game you bang out in like 2 hours. You're like, oh, okay, there were some cool references.
Yeah, no, it might be, what do you call it? Now, you could beat it in like, hour and a half tops. It might be, I don't know how much it actually is, because I picked up like the limited run version of it, which was like 20. So, I have it physical.
Jim, just tell me right now, did you just deal with peer pressure? Who pressured you?
No peer
sold
pressure.
you?
It looked
Who
interesting.
sold you the
It looked
drugs?
interesting. I wanted it.
Was it
I was
that
my own
Wang?
drug, Bri. I was my own. I mean, Wang has influenced a lot of things, but no, it was my own. It was my own self-doing. I put that needle right in my arm.
All right. Well, I guess gotta do what you gotta do, Jim. I'm interested that you're trying different games, but I still am furious that you have such a back catalog and you're refusing to touch it.
I mean, that was part of my back catalog, so I'm getting through things.
Oh, I thought you said that was one you just picked up.
I mean, it finally came, but it was part of my back catalog.
Interesting. All right. Well,
Bri, you have to let it
have
sit for the Rona to go away.
I have decided to keep going through trying to bang out my back catalog. And did you ever hear that game For Honor?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a game I've had downloaded for I don't even know how long. And I remember when I first tried it, you haven't played it, right?
No.
For those of you who don't know, the basic premise is you can either pick the side of knights, the side of samurais, or the side of eventually there was like an DLC for like Chinese warriors.
Boop.
But each one has like 5 different subclasses, which equate to like a fighter that's like all around easy to use, one that's good at killing specific heroes, one that's good at crowd control, and you go in these big battlefields and you just fight, kill heroes, try to maintain areas. It's actually a really interesting game, but it is one of these games that is opposite of what Jim said. It's very hard to pick up, and it like after you learn it, then it's just getting the nuance of like it comes down to like coming one-on-one with a hero, and then your stance matters if you're able to block someone. And in an instant, you can go to the left, right, up, down, and you do combo. It's a very advanced combat system for that time, and it's just really cool, customizable. It's one of those games I've just now dumped already way too much time in, but I've already been enjoying myself.
Cool. Sounds interesting.
So that's probably my time. And with that, let's move on right away to our Patreon questions. Jim, let's go ahead, give the shameless plug.
www.patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we will answer on this Power Hour podcast. Smooth.
Oh, speaking of plugs, so you might have noticed if you did follow us on Instagram or Twitter or even Facebook. Damn it, Jim.
Sorry.
We we're now available. I tried to finally get us to a point where we're available on other platforms. So got us on Stitcher Radio, got us on Spotify. So we're on iTunes. We're basically on most places, especially the major ones, where you can hear podcasts. So if you don't already follow us on iTunes or somewhere else, please follow us on some of these others. Help us grow. Tell a friend if you do enjoy us. And, just give us a listen. And honestly,
we ignored our non-iTunes brethren for too long. We had to get around to that.
Well, it's funny. I don't really. I myself don't even really listen. I used to do some podcast on iTunes because that was the place, and then I kind of shifted to most of my podcasts I listen to, kind of like us, have video versions, and I watch them on YouTube. But I love the interface of Spotify. Like, it's actually just cleaner and easier to navigate.
I hate Spotify's UI.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. It's just a pain in the balls. Like, you can't just like click on the direct thing that you want. You got to jump.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about music. Music, I actually hate. I hate that everyone we're friends with tends to like tell me like, oh, just go to Spotify. I have Amazon Unlimited Music, and I'm one of those people, if I'm listening to music, I want to hear what I want to hear. I'll make a playlist, and then I can randomize it. Like, that's what I prefer. Right. But for podcasts, I'm saying, like, when you get to the specific podcast you want to listen to, that looks and feels cleaner.
Oh, okay.
But I only did that because I put us up there, and then I was testing it out with other podcasts, so... Like I said, though, but who knows? We'll see. I don't even know how many people. I don't know that many people that use any of those platforms other than YouTube to listen to podcasts anyway.
I mean, we've been asked a lot when we were just strictly on YouTube to put on some shit, so who knows? I know a bunch of our buddies and our dear, delightful patrons will listen on the on iTunes and shit like that, so thanks, guys. Follow us and everything else.
Yeah. Love you guys.
And listen there. Listen to us 3 times. We need the views.
Don't get greedy, Jim.
I'm extremely greedy. I will whore. We need to get Raid Shadow Legends to give us money.
Just offer to I'll come in and play good for you.
Give it how good I play. That's one goddamn money. It's the most ambitious RPG experiment of 2019, Brian, after all.
But it's a visceral boots on the ground experience, Jim.
No,
I don't do anything that's not visceral or boots on the ground.
Remains to be seen.
So
God, anyone who didn't play Call of Duty in 2013 has no idea what we're talking about every time we say that. But first up with Patreon questions from Game Whisperer Dean. Next Thanksgiving, will you be giving thanks to the UK and Japan for keeping the video game industry alive when it had crashed in the USA in the early 80s? Ha 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 ha. I'll give thanks to Japan because they made games that people actually like. Goddamn beep bop boop boop with 3 colors off the goddamn ZX Spectrum. No one cares about that. So, thank you, Japan. Thank you for keeping Nintendo and Sega alive so that we can enjoy video games again eventually.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and say... who cares about gaming then? Until it came back to the US, who cares?
I mean, the major markets are the USA and Japan, and then... There's like China and like, I don't know, Uruguay and a bunch of other countries. And then the UK is eventually down there somewhere. So.
Yeah, I'm still... Okay, so here's the interesting thing. You and I have actually talked a lot about... You bust the balls for the UK and stuff. It does amaze me that the UK and these other countries that have started getting much more into gaming, they haven't attempted to make their own system or like do something... much bigger. Like, I even compare it to like car companies. Like, you got international car companies across the world, and some of them make shitty cars, but they're all in the industry. But gaming, it's like still just Japan and US. And
yeah,
that's kind of crazy. Like, not even China's it. Like, to me, that makes no sense. Like, how, even if you make a shitty console, the fact that they're not trying like anymore, it seems, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the 3 biggest players are Microsoft from the U.S., which is, you know, at this point a distant third to Sony and Nintendo, which are both Japan. So I guess they figure it's too big an investment. Maybe after the microcomputers crashed and burned in like the mid-90s, then they just went, fuck it. So Maybe when Commodore and all them went kaput, or I don't know what the hell happened to them, truthfully, but they're not making game systems anymore. So
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Now there's such a niche for even old games. Like, I'm not saying you have to try to create a console that can compete with the big three today. I'm saying for the amount of people, like in the UK especially, instead of just trying to make a retro version of the old systems, just make a system like those old systems and make brand new games for it. There's enough of a market out there. You're not going to get, once again, as profitable as the big guys, but you could do it, and I feel like there's enough gamers out there. It's like, just give that shit a try. That would be pretty cool to see.
But is there the market? Because that just kind of sounds like the Intellivision Amico, which we're all kind of like, meh.
Yeah, but the problem with that is the system itself keeps failing. And I'm sure in the UK, I'm saying...
I mean, it hasn't really come out yet. I can't say it's failed yet, but it doesn't look good.
There's also this weird idea, like, you don't always have to be a business that makes millions or billions. Like, you could just be a smaller, we made enough, like, whatever system. Like, you can you don't have to shoot for the highest. I'm saying, like, if you really love something and you're having issues maybe being an indie developer for some of the big three. But then again, I guess that's probably why, because Sony, for all of its criticisms, they're pretty damn indie-friendly systems. Xbox is getting there again, kind of. And
Xbox is kind of tough. I know there was a while where they were a real pain in the ass, and then there was a while where they were like really helpful. So they go back and forth. And
Sony's been the most consistent, I feel like, for indie developers.
The Switch and Sony game, both their eShops are just littered with just like every indie developer just throws all their shit on there. So good or bad, both of those eShops are just like flooded. They're like Steam. There's like no quality control on either of them.
Yeah, it's kind of that can be a little bit of a problem. So maybe that all makes sense. So I'll just shut the fuck up. What's the next question?
You do that. All right, next up from Eric Lewacki. You guys have always released a lot of Sonic content on the channel, but have you both seen the Sonic movie, and what were your opinions on it? I have not seen it.
Not seen it. Firmly, I want to see it, and I'll wait till it's free on cable or free on a platform that I have. With Jim Carrey, which I'm sure he does fine, because I didn't bother looking up any reviews. The trailer didn't draw me in enough, and I think we do a lot of Sonic heavy more for Jim. This is not a dig on you,
clickbait,
but your frame of reference for games tends to be a little closed. So I gotta pick things that are things you can compare against. So especially when we do like which is better, comparing Genesis stuff, you always gotta include Sonic. So yeah, I look forward to seeing it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I'll see it eventually with my kid. Hopefully the bright colors and all keeps her interested. Because that is hit or miss. But it's not a thing I'll probably ever really watch on my own. I just don't care enough. I heard it got pretty good reviews for the most part. So, yeah.
Did you see the Pokemon movie?
No, I still haven't seen that.
See, I saw that and I was surprised how much I liked it. Because I didn't grow up playing Pokemon. Yeah, I didn't grow up playing Pokemon. It's not even that it's adorable. It's actually just funny. Like Ryan Reynolds is Pikachu. But just the story and like what happens, I was like, I'm sure there's references I missed because my Pokemon experience was Jim loaning me Pokemon Red. And
do you still have that?
Yeah. And then
it's been like 4 years.
Playing Pokemon Go on my cell phone. Like I just those type of games just never got me as a teen. So, yeah, that movie surprised me. So I'm hoping actually a lot of more video game movies start going in this trend of being better written, better produced, and just better quality than the shit we grew up with.
Yeah, I'll say that too. Brian, can you imagine if they kept it with Danny DeVito as Pikachu?
I mean, you can't have perfection too much, Jim.
It's very true.
Danny DeVito does no wrong.
Egg. Next up, from G to the Next Level. It may only be speculation, but it's been said that Scott Pilgrim vs. the World game may be coming back from being delisted from Xbox and PlayStation game stores. While that would be awesome, what would your top delisted digital games to come back? I would have some love for Outrun Online Arcade to make a return. Cheers.
So, yeah, I remember I was like, that's kind of cool. I still never understood. I know a lot of these delisted games have specific stories. They're not always as simple as, like, a license. Because there was that one indie game.
Scott Pilgrim was a license.
Was it a license? Because there was that one indie
Yeah.
game, and I don't know if you remember it. I thought it was like 2014, 2015, like right when we were first starting. And the developer basically got pissed off because he got bad reviews like from YouTube or like from some internet things and pulled the game and pulled it off platforms.
Oh no, it was the guy who fucking made Fez, I think, and he was working on some other game, and then he pulled it. Oh wait, no, wait, no, was it Flappy Bird when he was getting all that hate?
I'm not thinking about that,
because he
but
pulled
that's what I'm
Flappy Bird
saying.
because of his hate. Yeah.
So there must be a couple examples. The game I'm thinking of was actually like an FPS. It might have been exclusive to Steam, I think. Either way, but no, the guy who did Fez and Flappy Bird, those are better examples of like, yeah, there's really sensitive people out there, and God forbid you get criticized.
You make fun of my art.
Yeah. But no, to go back to your question,
I made millions of dollars, but no one likes me. Fucking wah.
Jim, it's a sensitive generation.
It's sensitive, this cock.
I don't even know what that statement means, Jim.
Neither do I, but that is the secret of the dance.
Fuck. Every time I want to be nice to you, I go into these podcasts like, I'm going to be nice to Jim, and then you talk, and I'm like, you motherfucker.
But then you open your stupid fucking mouth. It all goes out the window.
So my game would be, and big shocker. Actually, Jim, I'm going to let you guess, because it should be a very obvious one.
PT!
Yep. I want that just because I have a gut feeling that thing is overrated, because I'm so tired of seeing it on the best horror games when it's not a goddamn horror game. Because it's a goddamn demo, and you can't play it. And I would just like the chance to try it, to see, is it worth the hype that everyone seems to put on it.
All right, that's a good one. I mean, mine would probably most likely be Scott Pilgrim, because I only played it like once back in 2010, then I never touched it again. But I think the one I would like to see back the most would be, Afterburner Climax. So it's kind of like a remake, enhancement. It's an arcade port too, but it's like really based off Afterburner 2. And I still have it on my Xbox 360, but that's just a game that like, there's not enough true like arcadey, dumb, fun games, and I think just having that come out again for this generation would be cool to see, because that was a really good game.
Kind of shocked you didn't say, what was it, Simpsons or X-Men that got pulled from Xbox.
All right, here. I mean, yeah, they both got pulled. I still have X-Men on my Xbox. For whatever reason, I can't get Simpsons back on it. It still pisses me off to this day. But here's the thing with those games. If you don't have the lack of quarters as an instigator and you can just keep continuing, they get boring really quick. So maybe it's because I have them or that I was able to play them recently, but I'd almost say they're both kind of overrated.
Maybe we should use that for a future topic.
I think we should.
Interesting. So yeah, no, that's I'm very curious to see moving forward how that will ever work if a game that gets delisted comes back. Like if Scott Pilgrim does, what happens? But yeah, licensing is a weird motherfucker. Yeah,
sure is. That's why games like fucking like Rambo on the PS3 and Godzilla on the PS4, like they got their runs when the console was out, but that was it. They're not on the eShops anymore. Like unless you buy them used, you're not going to be playing them. So weird licensed games like that.
I have that Rambo still behind me. Still debating if that should be a giveaway.
Yeah. Some lucky soul can get that Rambo from you, bro.
Oh, it's so rough.
Oh, I remember. And you wore it. Next up, from Nerdy Nick 91. Oh shit, I hope it's not too late. It is not. What is your favorite weapon in the Halo series? Ooh.
Huh. So, instead of going for the answer where it's like, what's my favorite that I use the most and what I think is most practical, when I think of shit like this, I always go with, like, what's the most unique weapon from the game series? And for me, it's got to be the energy sword. Just for the sheer fact, like, everything else is essentially a gun. Even if it's an interesting take on a gun, like the Needler, the sword is the one that like there's no better exclamation point. Like yeah, it's cool. You could snipe someone from fairly far, or hit them with a rocket or whatever. But like the sword was just the ultimate fuck you. Like you hit them. I'm pretty sure every time it's a one hit kill. Like the armor boost.
Yeah.
So yeah, to me that's the ultimate. Like the most useful gun is probably the 3-round burst assault rifle mixed with like a good melee, because that was the only Jim combo he knew and he used on all of us all the time when he wasn't using his rocket or his sword on us. So yeah, for me it's a sword. That's probably the most iconic from the multiplayer thing.
My favorite is actually the Needler, just because it's always fun to keep shooting it off, and you see a guy like trying to run away from it or dodge it or like turn a corner, but there's just that one needle too many, and then it explodes and instantly kills him, and it's always so satisfying when you can pull that off. Like if you don't basically get the drop on someone, then it's kind of useless, but when you light them up with it, it's just so satisfying when you get that boom.
Yeah, the Needler is the most unique weapon from all of Halo, I feel like. Like I'm thinking of all the guns.
Got the hammer. Hammer's cool.
Yeah, but the hammer, I feel like that. Even the sword, I'm saying like the sword is iconic. The hammer isn't like it's a giant hammer. Like the Needler was an interesting idea. It's like a homing little device for people. Like you don't see that often. The only other element that movie. Yeah,
good reference. Yeah. So good question. Next up from Alex Perez. Hey dudes, I apologize if this has been asked before, but what are your favorite games that have been recommended to you by the other and the least favorite? Ooh. This has not been asked before.
No.
But I can do it easy for me, so I can give Brian a little time.
Jim, can I make a guess for you?
Go ahead.
I know your least favorite from me is Kid Cool.
Kid Chameleon?
Or yeah, I'm sorry, Kid Chameleon.
Yes, it is.
And your favorite? Oh goddamn! There's been so many games. Is it BioShock?
I was actually going to say BioShock. I was going to tell people to look back at this past Christmas and go with the 2 games you gave me.
Well, interestingly enough, you can go to Christmas for you recommending Puppeteer. I was very pleasantly surprised. But goddamn, worst? Go to any other Jim game recommended. I mean,
God damn it.
No, okay, maybe that's not fully fair, but I think it is fair to say, and our scores have reflected it, and that's from you as well. Majority of games you picked when it wasn't completely like your personal like favorite games, when it was like your turn to just pick random games, they were all really rough.
I go with interesting games.
Interesting is one thing. You go with some pretty terrible selections.
Some were, but they were interesting.
If I had to go with the worst, I guess I would go with that stupid, what was that Japanese robot game with the subtitles?
What, G Gundam?
Was that what it was?
Kiddo Butoden G Gundam?
Yeah, that sucked dick because it was, number one, like the moves were stupid to pull off. It ended up being weirdly easy. You got the little glitch, and it just was like, I can't remember if it was too long, but it was just very unimpressive. And for all the shitty, like Jim and I played so many fighting games when we started the site, that for him to pull that out of the hat, like that was something unique. I was like, you didn't even give me a unique experience. You didn't give me like something fun out of this. Like Strip Fighter was at least, that was like, it had the wow factor of like, what the fuck? And that would actually play better than that damn G Gundam game. And G Gundam would piss Jim legitimately. He was like, it's a good game. I was like, no, it was something you paid too much for, Jim.
One, I paid $5 for that. Two,
too much.
No, I'll give you that game was painfully average, and that's I think the biggest problem with it. Like it isn't bad enough to be like interesting bad, and it isn't good enough to be like really good. It's just there. I just really like the license, so I'll give you that one. Like I should have given you Gundam Wing, which is a superb fighting game. But fuck you, I gave you G Gundam.
So yeah, the best though, Puppeteer. I was oddly drawn in by that game. Like that was one where like the style, the idea and everything, I was just like, okay, this is one I'm gonna play all the way through and beat and like really enjoy. Because usually when Jim and I each like pick a game for or whatever, only one of us will beat it. The other one will play enough to be able to talk about it. This one was one where I was like, oh, Jim already knows about it, but I'm going to go through and really play it. So, yeah.
Yep. And last but not least, from Sandy N, what was your best mic drop moment? Huh.
I guess if she's thinking... Well,
I don't know if in terms of the page or in
the,
general.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with the page. I'll do two. I'll do a beer moment and a game moment. For me, I have two. I can answer both of these easily. So for game, I'll give two quick moments. One, when you 2009 or 2010, I forget which one it was. When that game came out, I was obsessed with it, and I did a lot of online, like you fight other people. And so this is like 09 or 2000, well, obviously 09 or 2010. But I was playing as Leota Machida, and a dude was playing as Rashad Evans. Those two were fighting that weekend. And this guy was talking, like, anyone who knows me, I don't talk random shit to random people. I don't even talk shit when I'm playing with my friends that much. Unless you instigate me. Then I'm going to really start digging down. That's not the type of person I am. But this guy was talking mad shit. He's like, yo, my boy Rashad gonna fuck up Leota, all this stuff. And so we're fighting, and I knock him out with a knee as he goes in for a takedown. He's like, well, whatever, fuck you. He's like, my boy Rashad's still gonna beat the shit out of Leota. And I'm hardcore into MMA and UFC. Sure enough, Leota beat the shit out of Rashad, knocked him out cold. So I had to send him the message like, yo, what happened to your boy? And like, just dead silence, nothing. That shut him up real quick. And another one in gaming is a similar, if you ever played that game Sticks and Stones in Call of Duty, where it's you use a crossbow and a throwing knife. If you hit a throwing knife, it sets people back to 0. Had a dude talking mad shit throughout the entire game, try and talk shit specifically to me because I won like 3 in a row. And, like, I got the final kill on that guy with a throwing knife, setting him back to 0. And he actually exited out. And, like, it was just, that was perfect. For beer, it's probably going to be one of the many beer pong stories where I was down. But my favorite, and I don't even know who it was I beat, but it was a similar, talking shit back and forth. And I got the bounce back. And I actually shot it behind my back and got the final win after being on a crazy win streak back into the cup and just walked away from it. Like, I didn't even have to turn. I didn't even turn around to see if it went in. I just knew it went in. So, yeah, those are my two drop the mic moments. And Jim knows I probably have too many with beer pong.
Yeah, see, the problem is you have too many drop the mic moments, and I'm struggling to think of anything because I'm not quick on my feet. I don't really ever win in the end with a lot of things. And I'm normally the butt of the joke.
I'm trying to think for you.
I must have had something. I mean, Christ.
All right, so video game. No, okay, so your best video game would probably be what? Mario Kart 64?
64, Star Fox, or one of them, yeah.
Yeah, so, but I'm trying to think multiplayer one. So, like, 64, you didn't have, like, a perfect, like, against a friend that was talking any kind of shit. Like, you're good at that game. So I know you probably won a lot, but you didn't have a very specific, like, wow, like, I really cemented it.
Nothing too crazy. Like, I mean, eventually with games, like, the only games I ever got good at, they stopped playing with me because I was too good at them. So.
What about in the arcades? Did you ever have an arcade game that you?
I didn't go to the arcades that much. I didn't get to leave the house a lot as a kid. I think we both know this. I was a bit of a sheltered boy.
All right, Jim. Can I suggest a drop the mic moment? How about the fact that wasn't it Foo Fighters on Rock Band that you're able to drum and stare, not even look at the screen, and you got like 100%?
I didn't get 100%, but I could get through it on expert without looking at it. So yeah, I can go with that.
That's pretty. Cool. That's goddamn impressive.
That always impressed people. So yeah, let's go with that.
So, and do you have a? Well, I'd say, do you have a beer moment?
Oh, I mean, I got a lot of beer moments, and things have been dropped, but I don't know if it was ever a mic. It's mostly me.
Jim, I'm trying to build you up.
I'm trying to too, and I can't think of any goddamn thing. I focus on the negative too much.
Jim, what about that one time you won the girl from the jock?
Can't remember the time that happened there, bro. Never had that kick in the face with the sand moment and turn back and win in the end, and then put my fist in the air and everything stops.
Jim, it's not like an 80s movie.
No, it is not like an 80s movie. My life has not been an 80s movie. It's turned out better than it should, but it has not been 80s level movie. So yeah, let's go with Playing Everlong. Yeah, great question. Thank you for that.
See, even your wife busts your balls. It's not just me.
Life is pain.
This next topic, speaking about busting balls.
So here's the problem with this one, because by the time I went to see the original kerfuffle, it was long gone. They deleted everything. So you're going to have to talk us through this one a bit.
So the simple thing is it breweries in PA or?
Came to us from breweries in PA, yeah.
Okay, so breweries in PA tweeted something about the head brewer from Evil Genius had posted something in the heat of all the protests and riots that are going on. Well, here's the thing. So, and I want to be very clear and careful, because the way Evil Genius worded it would suggest that this guy actually said something that could be construed as racist or something that was against the victim. Like, there could be different ways. But actually, what he had on his post was more in terms of what you would expect from an anarchist Antifa member, complete, like, fuck the cops, they deserve to die. It was something to that effect. And he was wearing a shirt that said, like, and once again, I don't want to misquote it, but it was something to the effect of, like, fuck the cops, they all deserve to die. Like, something that was very, like, anti-cop. It seemed like it was he was for protest and very anti-establishment. And if you look at the guy, and I don't know his name off the top of my head.
I saw the pictures, and I was like, well.
He's very anarchist. He's very, like, he's probably one of the assholes. Like, you can think what you want about the protest, but this is one of the assholes who would probably actually light fire to shit. And he's not doing it for the right reasons. He's doing it because anarchy. Like, it seemed to be his MO. So he, obviously, Evil Genius got a ton of backlash and the Twitter response and all this shit. And they rightfully, now he's a head brewer, so I don't know if he was hired as a head brewer or if he was the, like, original founder with whoever else financed it.
Right.
But they fired his ass, which I'm all for. Like, everyone can have their own personal opinion. But, like, a lot of companies you go and work for, they're like, you can have your personal opinion over here and you can be like this or that. But when you're the head of something, take a stance that's that divisive and you're that pointed, it's one of those things. It's like, dude, you're going to potentially take the consequences. Evil Genius is a company that they're trying to build themselves up. And this is the type of terrible publicity that could really kill their whole future. So, you know, I don't really feel bad for the guy. I don't care about getting politics mixed in with your opinions when you work at a place. But at the end of the day, man, he made a very stupid decision, and that's going to happen.
Yeah, like, unless you, like, own the place, not just run it, unless you own it, you really better not be spouting off with your politics and not expect a certain level of backlash. And maybe he thought he was untouchable in his company, but, I mean, it doesn't help that Evil Genius is a Philly-based brewer, and Philly's a big... I mean, in a lot of ways, yes and no. Like, old Philly's a very big pro-cop town, so that's a very easy way to get some bad blood with the locals, especially in the area of the city that they're in. So, not really highly, not a very wise decision there. Like, even me being the Twitter guy, like, I'm trying to be as careful as I can about not doing anything political. Like, I'll retweet something jokey that's going on, like, something that's just outright stupid, like the guy stealing Legos, shit like that. But anything too far to either side, opinion-wise, I'm just like, no, thank you. Like, I don't want to be that meme that's like, gimmick page, and then it turns the nameplate, and then it says politics page. Like, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, and I could even be fine if he had been very pointed in something like, I'm all for the protest. Once again, though, he went the
He went to kill the cops route.
Completely like fuck the cops. They're like he wasn't doing it. He didn't seem to be posting it for the purpose of the protest, which is I think the problem. Like had he been, because we've seen plenty of people that are for the protest, and that's fine.
Right, which is fine. Yeah.
But fuck, man, like yeah, you gotta be a little smarter about that and just realize like everyone's replaceable at the end of the day. And like Jim said, unless you own a company and you have all majority shares and you can't be fired, then you do what you want and you take the risk and whatever. But when you're replaceable, even if you're a head brewer, it's like being a head chef. They can find somebody else who brews beer.
Yep. I mean, yeah, we're not even talking cancel culture with this because by the time I even saw the thing the same day, it was like maybe 2 hours later he was shit canned. So that was just swift, decisive action by the owners of that brewery.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I mean, definitely have your opinions, obviously. But if you're gonna write, kill the cops, then you better. I don't know.
Can I say one thing though that really like? Oh man. So we've talked about breweries in PA, and I forget where they're from, but it seems they're very Pittsburgh heavy, like in that more closer to Pittsburgh beer.
Yeah, I think they're Pittsburgh guys.
So it seemed very obvious because the one thing I noticed was like everyone's writing like, oh man, if only they could make beer as good as they make their labels for their cans, like or the pop culture references. And literally the first thought that popped in my head when I saw someone comment, I was like, that has to be a Pittsburgh guy. Clicked on his profile, sure was. And I'm
God damn Yinzers.
I'm like, Pittsburgh, like God damn it. Like, I really can't understand why they think they're the golden goose of PA. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me.
We're the hardworking steel town.
And you can say what you
want.
Fine.
Your sports teams win a lot. Fine. That's all you get.
I don't even care about
Rivers.
Like, yeah, put away sports teams.
That's all they have.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, we're in strictly beer talk when it comes to when I'm saying Pittsburgh. And I'm not even saying necessarily just Philly, but I'm saying deniable. Anyone who's outside of PA doesn't know a single goddamn Pittsburgh brewery. They know some Philly breweries, but they know a lot of, I guess it would be still Northeastern, Yingling, Victory, like all these ones.
Weyerbacher, Trogs.
Like, they don't know shit from Pittsburgh. Like, literally, I'm the beer guy that knows thousands of beers. And you can't get their shit that much out here. And for distribution purposes, when you're outside the state, you're not that big. So stop acting like you're the goddamn capital of PA beer country. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Exactly.
And that always rubs me the wrong way.
Basically, we've been doing this page for 8 years to say fuck Pittsburgh. That's really what it comes down to.
Listen, if they want to do a beer swap, send me the best samples of whatever they think is the best possible Pittsburgh beer. I'll try it, and I will give complete honest opinion. If they blow everything else from PA out of water, then I will gladly apologize. But until that day, you're not going to tell me you're doing better than Victory, Weyerbacher, and all the other great beer that's brewed closer to home.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's just going to be piss water coming from there anyway, because it's a shitty city. So it's a shitty city that no one cares about unless you talk about sports. It's all you have.
And Zombies did come from up closer to there, so I'll give them that. George Romero shot in Pittsburgh.
Yes, thank you, Brian. Thank you. Yes, because it's cheaper out there because no one cares about Pittsburgh. So you can shoot your little zombie movie for like $2 out there. Because thank God for anything.
But Cole.
Damn it. All right, so next up is a thing that we come to from time to time where we look at gaming or beer-related women of the internet, you could say. It's not an OnlyFans topic this week. So, but there's a meme that goes around with all these, let's just call them e-thoughts. Let's be political about it. And it'll be like some hot girl half naked, and there's always some gimmick in the room. Like, it'll be like a big pizza next to her pussy. And I'll be like, oh, what do you want first? And then it'll be the guys going, I hope it's pepperoni. Yeah. Like, we get it. We get the joke. So this post here went a little more direct with it. It comes from Esme Rose XO on Twitter. What do you want to play, PS4 or my ass? Smiley winking face. But Brian, do you notice, you notice a little something here? Little something, little ha-has.
So here's the deal.
One, not enough ass.
Etha, I mean, I've put her aside. Like, whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna say no to it. But the thing is, all these girls with whether it be beer or video games that do these kind of posts, you're basically that very thin layer between this and an OnlyFans. Like, you're basically a free OnlyFans at this point. So you're not even smart enough to get paid for this type of shit. But what amazes me is the amount that there are out there. And it's like how I hate the term thirsty, but the comments, I'd rather see a complete ridiculous comment on some of these posts when they're ridiculous posts like that, like it's straight up her ass next to the PS5 controller or PS4 controller, and I'll maybe put the picture in our main video, but for sure it'll be its own segment, because and I gotta find it. One of the people we follow on Instagram, it was a very similar, it was literally a girl with her cleavage out. And it was like either controller or beer.
That's like all we follow on there.
Oh, that's my point. Because we're dudes and we I mean, you know what you want to look at. But my point is, like,
guys.
I hate there's comments where it's a dude trying to be clever but not talk about the obvious. Like, oh, I see I have that same blanket in the background. Or, like, he's trying to make too much of a joke of it. But then there's the ones that go the other way. And my favorite comment
I want to sniff your fucking pussy juice.
Well, no, not that vulgar.
Oh, that was mine.
But damn it, Jim. But it was literally a girl, once again, it was just cleavage out. It was a beer or like a thing. And the dude just wrote, he's like, good for titty sex. I was like, that's not even, it's not even like that well written. It's not clever. It's not completely as bad as what you just said. It was just so like blunt, and like he's not even saying like I want, like he's just saying good for I'm just like, what the fuck. It made me laugh so hard, and I'm so mad I didn't save it. I have to
oh, you bastard. You need to find that.
I laughed way too hard at it, and I remember I was on like the train and I was laughing my ass off because I was like, what the fuck. Like there's something to somebody writing that, but at the same time I don't even think that's bad to write that, because if you're going to post shit like that, you have to kind of expect that, right? It's just...
I mean, it's all about attention getting, but my favorite part of this picture is she says, what do you want to play? PS4 or my ass? She's holding a DualShock 3. She's not that smart.
Jim, can we just be honest that most of the chicks that do
aren't
those
smart?
Pictures are not actual gamers? And
right. How dare
that
you?
whole argument of girl, quote unquote, girl gamer, the hot girl gamer. Like, what was the other like funny meme? It's like a chick who's like, "Oh, I'm sitting here playing, Nintendo, and it's not even plugged into the goddamn console." Like shit that's left in the photos they don't realize. Like, it's like, yeah, we know you're not gamers. You're just trying to tap into a different crowd. And honestly, gamers and beer drinkers are the two easiest, most dupable crowds, because they're dudes who are obsessed with these two specific things. And you've seen the crowd from both. They're not exactly killing it with the ladies. Let's put it that way. So they're
right. What are you trying to say?
I'm saying they're very easy targets, and they get a ton of attention. We've seen it firsthand at conventions. We've seen it firsthand at many places. These girls know what they're doing. They're trying to play it up, and then they say, here's my Amazon wish list. Buy shit for me. That's all it comes down to. And I just hope, dudes, don't be that goddamn gullible. Don't buy shit. Don't ever give any of these girls money. They're not going to give you any attention. The attention they do, it's equivalent to a dude who thinks a stripper is their best friend.
Well put. I have nothing to add to that.
Jim, you got to give some clever banter.
Nah. I mean, you pretty much nailed it on the head there. Not much for me to say. I'm stumped. I mean, Cinnamon still loves me, but besides that,
we really had a deep connection. No, but honestly, yes, I don't care. Follow them, whatever. But yeah, just don't engage. Don't pay money, and just write funnier shit like that guy that wrote good for titty sex.
just write good for titty sex no matter what the post is. Just from now on, just write good for titty sex.
And then just do hashtag DBPG so we know you did it.
Yeah. That could be the gimmick that gets us famous.
Oh god, that would make my day if like hot chicks were like getting posts like, what the fuck is DBPG? What is this?
Good for titty sex. That sounds like a shirt slogan right there.
Maybe that will be some of our merch.
Our first bit of merch? I think it has to be. These dirty godless whores. But anyway.
Damn it, Jim.
Next up, from our buddy Kitt. Games we didn't like at first, but we do now.
Ooh. What's something? You might have to go first with this, because... games
Excellent. I know there's got to be something that like maybe just a lot of the no, you know what? Okay, I got one. So beside when we were going through the Toe Jam and Earl games, I mentioned how I grew up with Panic on Funkatron, but I never really played the other ones beforehand. So the first one that I actually really played of the real style was Back in the Groove. And as I was playing through it, I was like, yeah, this is okay. I don't see what it's about. But then as I just kept playing it and started to really understand the value of using all your presents and cycling all your inventory and the exploration and the risk reward kind of deal, then I grew to actually really like it. But at first I was like, I don't see what the whole hubbub is about. I didn't hate it, but I do remember being really bored and just kind of confused.
I'll be honest, this is one that has me stumped because whether it's just me being stubborn, there's not many games I actually truly hate. There's a very, very small. If I play a game long enough, I can appreciate it. But I'm trying to think, has there ever been a game that I looked at and I was like, I'm not going to like this game. And then I played it a little bit longer.
I mean, maybe another one for me could be Call of Duty 2, because I was such a Halo guy. When I first started playing Call of Duty, I was like, man, this is pain in my ass. I want to go back to Halo. But then I eventually grew to really be obsessed with it. So maybe even something like that. Maybe something you didn't hate at first, but you were just like, or I don't know if I'm going to like this kind of deal.
The only one that would come close to me, and I didn't hate it for anything about the game itself, it was more for Jim, was Tetris 99. That was a game where I was like, you're just playing Tetris. And I never played it, but the amount Jim talked about it, especially on the podcast, in our personal life, I was like, God damn it, this game can't be that good. I played it, and it is the perfect toilet game. I wouldn't really play it anywhere else, but obviously I've won it many times. Jim still hasn't. And
yeah,
I realize it's
I might hate it now more because of that.
Yeah. It's just very addicting, but in very short spurts. It's not one, it's not living with me. I don't have an itch to play it. But when you are in it, it's intense. So that's one that, I'm like, oh, I get it. Once you play it, it's really fun. But at first, I was very, it's just going to be such a stupid game.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair answer. So, yeah, thanks a lot, Kitt. Thanks for that suggestion.
All right, so before we jump to the next topic, Jim, did you go through one or two of your beers?
2 so far.
So what do you think so far?
So far it's pretty. I hate saying it all the time about these beers from this beer box, but every time I'm just like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's a perfectly fine Pilsner. It has way more mouthfeel and flavor than say your typical Budweisers or Miller Genuine Drafts of the world, shit like that. It definitely has that craft kind of feel, but it also doesn't set itself apart from any other Pilsners. I'd probably go with the Prima Pils before this. I know I had another Pilsner from one of these boxes that was really good. I just can't remember the name right now. Maybe I can look that up. Oh, the Yazoo. The Yazoo Pilsner was really good. This one doesn't compare to that one. So, with these boxes in general, the IPAs have all been very basic. This Pilsner is a little disappointing. The Yazoo was really good. And then you have, some of their other kind of pale ales, or sometimes the blondes or the brown ales are, pretty damn good. So, None of them are like exemplary or something that the Yazoo sticks out, but everything else has just been either average or, pretty good. So this one, perfectly fine. It is something that I would have no problem drinking again. I just, A, I'm not going to find it in my area, and B, even if I did, it wouldn't be like a must go to. But it's perfectly fine. If you see it, give it a shot.
Gotcha. And are you sticking with that for your third?
I do have it as my third, and I have a fourth drink that I will let you know about once I start drinking it, because you will hate me.
Is it Twisted Tea?
No.
You can just say it, because I have something that might... It's not quite as equivalent, but it might be on that level.
Well, I don't know if you're going to have something on this level, Brian. Because once I'm done these 3 Pilsners, I'm going to wash it all down with a delicious, refreshing tangerine White Claw.
You got the worst flavor, too. Oh, my God.
It's what was in my drawer.
All right. I'm pissed. So...
Mission accomplished.
I finished both my 3 Floyd Zombie Dust. It's 6.6%. But what's amazing for a pale ale, this shit sits actually fairly heavy. I would highly recommend. It is very tough to find sometimes. So if you are lucky enough to find it, you should definitely pick it up. Usually 3 Floyds. I think I said 6-pack earlier. It might have only been a 4-pack because they seem to come in, instead of just your typical 4-pack cans, they come in their own specialty boxes, which I actually really like the packaging. And Jim, since you have that collector mindset, I'm sure you'd appreciate it. Like, there's a lot of detail put in the packaging. So, cool. Definitely get it. But I just went through my fridge. I shared a photo. I have a crazy amount of craft beers, but the problem is all of them are crazy high percentages, a lot of stouts, a lot of heavy shit. And since these beers sit heavy, I'm like, dude, I don't want to mix anything too crazy. I don't have anything light. The closest shit I have actually belongs to my wife, and I'm dipping into her stash. It's the Angry Orchard hard cider.
They're good.
I actually really like hard ciders, and this is a fine one. But yeah, like of all the other beers I have, I'm just like, I'm like, so let me just switch over to the cider. I haven't had one of these in a goddamn minute, but yeah, I mean, I don't even know differences between these and Woodchuck and all those, but they're all fine. So, yep, that's my closest to White Claws and hard iced teas I'm gonna get.
And Smirnoff Zero Sugars?
I've never even had a Smirnoff. Let's put it that way.
What? Really? You've never had one?
No, it was like
There's no way you've never had one.
Every time we would have a party, and that was legit the girl or Orloff drink, like that and wine coolers.
Right.
The guys, we would have Guinness, Corona, or just Miller, Coors, Bud, like all the other stuff. Yeah. Well, no, actually I actually didn't do Lionhead until I got to college. Before then it was strictly Miller, Bud, Coors, Corona, and Guinness. That was all I would do. I'd never touched another beer really till college, and like Leinenkugel was like the big, like that was the closest craft beer I got for a while.
Yeah, you're the one who introduced that to all of us too.
Yeah. But yeah, no, but the Smirnoff, it was literally, that was the girl drink. And I'm not saying that to bust your balls. I'm saying like that.
No, it is.
The iced tea, the hard.
We have them because of my wife. That's why we have them in the house.
The iced tea, Mike's Hard Lemonade, like all that. Those were girl. Like I remember I've had the hard teas, and the problem with those is they're like either too sugary or something. Like especially in summertime, like they're too sweet. Like to me, like even like sugared iced tea is like at this point just too sweet for my ass.
Bro, you would never live in the South.
You're right. but yeah,
Sweet
no,
tea
I just
sucks.
Smirnoffs, yeah, like that was the girl drink, so you just didn't drink that when you would have parties if you were a dude.
When I'm a man with balls, I don't drink these fruity bitch drinks.
You're damn
big
right,
floppy balls. Balls in my face.
The problem is also, I was also just getting blackout drunk by way too many shots. So beer and Smirnoff and all those were never a thing. Like, you know me, I was a shot guy.
Yes, you were.
Just drinking way too much liquor. So, yeah. All right, so we're gonna move it on. No.
So here, the link I put in here. So I'll have to summarize this. Mm-hmm. So there was a story about a week ago at this point, before the world went to shit again, with the there's a famous Twitch streamer who is a grandma, and she's been playing, I believe it's been Skyrim for like the past couple years. She's gotten this huge following, good old-fashioned wholesome content. So VG247.com, or maybe just a Twitter account, I forget which, but they put an article out there how gaming grandma to take break amid, what was it, pandering comments, I think, from the crowd. Like, it wasn't even like hateful comments or derogatory comments. It was just like pandering comments. And I saw this and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. So of course the initial response to that was, oh, goddamn gamers are at it again. Can't let anyone have anything nice. Even friggin' grandma can't play a game without getting, gamer shit piled on her. And this was going on for only about half a day before she like responded directly and was like, no, I'm just taking off for health reasons and I'm tired. My fans are generally fine to me. Can you please take this clickbait down? And I was just like, oh! One for the gamers! Gamergate was saved once again.
That is, I'll be honest, when the way you posted it, and because I clicked and didn't see it, I kind of thought, I'm like, are people really giving our shit? And here's the deal. We know there's a lot of awful gamers and people who come into comments, but honestly, I think it's definitely over-exaggerated. Like, yes, I'm sure if you're a chick who's sitting there with your cleavage out and you got millions of subscribers, you're going to get some pretty vile shit. But as we just learned, and I can't believe we forgot to mention this at the beginning of the podcast, Jim and I this past weekend were actually this past week, we're on a stream with our buddies from Console Wars. So we really appreciate that.
I said it earlier. The fuck?
Did you really?
Yes.
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
Apparently not. Jesus. I was wondering why you were so silent when I was talking about it. Christ.
But that is a good example of, they had a lot of commenters and no one was really nasty. No one was negative.
They were surprisingly nice. Like the last time I was on there, they were going hard at me and they were going hard at what do you call it? Some of Dan's other friends that were in the room. But no, this time they were all goddamn sweethearts and doll babies. It was great.
They were respectful. Like,
and the comments after the fact were just like, oh yeah, this looks fun. And then there's a couple, you should do this with Greg, which obviously, but no, they were fine.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, so I'm sure once you reach a certain level of just people are shitty in general and you hit a certain quotient of X amount of people are going to watch. Like, dude, even me, like when I would, for a while there, when I would do stream or YouTube, there would, at our best, like I think one of the streams I got to like 70 people watching, which I was like, holy shit, that's a lot. And then somebody started posting like ridiculous, just terrible stuff. And it was clearly just one troll coming in to do that.
Right.
So, that's one of those things where I'm just more curious, like, is the grandmom actually streaming, or is this just her grandson just like, hey, grandmom, play this game and I'm going to stream for you? Like, I don't know. That's all weird, but it is hilarious. This is that grandmom's way of saying, like, shut the fuck up. I'm not doing this because I'm scared of comments. It's a win for gamers.
Because my initial reaction to this was going to be, well, you're getting on the internet. You got popular. It's just the kind of thing that happens. It sucks, but what are you going to do? But then seeing her go, no, this is total bullshit. I was just like, yes, for once. Fuck. So there's a little bit of uplifting news for the week.
And for those of you out there who can't understand it, gamers get the same reputation as people from Philly. In general, people from Philly get the worst reputation for everything, and it's like the same tired ass to like, oh, you threw snowballs at Santa. Like it's never like anything current or whatever.
Right.
So gamers, it's the same exact deal. They'll point to like 5 or 6 very specific examples, and it's like, dude, you just know some people are over exaggerating it, and then someone bigger in the media picks it up, makes a big story, and it sounds like all gamers are this way or that way. It's not. And true gamers, you know what's going on. The gaming community in general is way better than I think the goddamn beer community. Let's put it that way.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, if you want to see some snooty, hidey, fluty patooties, you can get in some beer forums. Go on Beer Advocate and say anything
Just
that
beer
doesn't.
Twitter.
Yeah, beer Twitter too. I mean, yeah, we don't. I mean, I guess because I'm not the beer guy, we're not as heavily involved with beer Twitter. But I know like one of the biggest accounts is Brew Studs, and they are some cocks. They're always putting out Philly. They're putting out all the Philly beers all the time.
It's just amazing. Like, what do you think this? Oh man.
And like, oh, we're the preeminent indie beer channel. Like, motherfucker, you're just posting. You're like most of hack gaming journalism, where you're just taking press releases from people and just posting it again. Like, you're not doing shit.
Yeah, that's. We'll definitely have to probably. I had some thoughts on that.
They're the same ones who jerk off that guy from Stone Brewing with his I'm fighting for the little craft beer guy, even though I'm the 6th biggest brewery in the company. Shut the fuck up.
But gaming is much bigger, and I'd say most people I've ever met through gaming and you legit talk to, they're fine.
Yeah, it would be interesting. Maybe when the Rona goes away, ish, to when it's like down to like the flu level where it's like, you might get it. Maybe if there's a craft beer convention, we'll go to that. Because, like, beer's also weird with, like, big gatherings because it's always just, like, huge, like, things with, like, 50 vendors, but you never really talk to anyone because there's, like, 20-minute lines for every single one, and none of the crowds that are there are ever talking to each other. It normally smells as bad as a gaming convention when it's inside, but besides that, it's a very less, like, social kind of thing. Like,
it's not social at all. Yeah,
it's more of a party, but it's also because obviously everyone's drunk, but it's definitely not social because everyone's just there with their groups if they're there with groups. Or then you have the guy with his one little snifter glass going the whole time.
Yeah, I know. I've been at craft beer things. Yeah, you're not.
I was at one, I think, maybe two, one or two, something like that.
You're not meeting new crowds. You're not. And here's the deal: even brewers themselves, like the ones working that, if they have time, they might talk. They don't have time because they're sitting there pouring out. And same as like we've been to enough breweries. Like I found like bartenders, they're always obviously your most talkative. Some locals who go there frequently, they might talk to you.
Right.
Unless you very, very specifically pull a brewer aside and there's someone who genuinely like care. Like they're not the most sociable people. I'll say that. Like
beer brewers in general are kind of they're science dorks. Like they're all about mix. They're chemistry dorks. They're all mixing their hops and their barleys together to certain amounts with all the different mixtures and all the different chemicals together. Like we knew a guy from engineering who moved out to Washington and started his own brewery. Super nice guy, but yeah, he was he's a brainy type who went out there and started a brewery. So I think that's kind of the mindset.
And then there's ones that are really hot chicks who have their doctorate, and we just make them kiss me with lipstick on. That's all.
Our waifu. That's our waifu in the craft brew world. Shit. Well, which brewery was that in Tennessee?
That was Tennessee Brew Works.
That's right. That's what it was. They had good shit too.
Amazing brewery, and it was like cool. Like, oh man, that was.
She was really friendly too.
To give the very simple backstory for my bachelor party, we went to Tennessee. We hit up all these different breweries. We had a really awesome brew guide, but he couldn't believe one of the challenges. Like the guys gave me a thing, like, oh, like okay, like you have this lipstick, like try and get like a chick to give you a kiss on cheek with this lipstick, and here's this like brew lady. She took time. She's answering all of our questions, and like
she's an actual doctor.
Multiple doctorates from like chemistry.
She's a married doctor.
A married doctor. She started this brewery. She's gorgeous, like all these things. And then she goes and she's like, yeah, like so here's the place. And it's all over. I'm like, oh man, like this is awesome. Could you do me a favor? And I held up. She's like, are you serious? And she was actually a good sport. Yeah? She did it. She was all for it. And the dude, like, was our brew guide, like, knew her, and he's like, there's no way she's gonna do it. And then he's like, motherfuck. He's like, no way. He was so pissed.
Secretly, he's like, I've been trying to fuck her for years.
He respected it, but at the same time, I was just like, oh, this is definitely bad luck. But I'm gonna ask it anyway. She's like, all right, is nobody around?
Yeah, you came out with the lipstick. We were like, oh!
Yeah,
they were like, let's check your dick.
Nah, Jam, this gets aired.
Let me smell your pecker.
But yeah, no, so it's gamers I think sometimes get way too shitty of a reputation. They shouldn't. And this is just another example of the media trying to make it at first sound like it was something bad. And Grandma, you rock. And if I can find you, and I hope your health gets better, I want to watch you.
Yeah, I think her name's Shirley Klein or something or other. Her first name's Shirley. I'll find her OnlyFans.
Gotcha.
Really?
Ooh,
Nothing on that? Jesus.
No, I heard you, but I'm being respectful, Jim.
Damn it. Pride, give me attention.
That's someone's grandmother.
All right.
So the next one, this seems to be this is a recurring bit, and it's one of my favorite recurring bits. We've said multiple times in the past, we've shown games and music that one way or the other, either the game inspires music or the music inspires the game. So Jim, you need to just quickly explain. You can explain the tracks, but also explain inspired which, or supposedly inspired which.
Yep, so the one for this week comes from our buddy on Twitter, Rad0. Super nice guy. And he mentioned in passing that he always thought that the song The Boy Is Mine by Brandy and Monica, a late 90s classic, always reminded him of Zora's Domain from Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
And I'll be honest, I listened to it, and I can see it. So this is the part in the main one. We're going to be talking over it because we don't want to get flagged. We don't, especially, it's, God forbid, it's a Nintendo thing. So we'll put the links below. Listen to it for yourself. I'm talking over it right now, and we'll make its own segment where maybe we'll break it out, and who cares about getting flagged. But I can hear the opening melody, and it plays throughout that song, The Boy Is Mine.
Right. Which is like where I think it comes from. Yeah. Yeah,
the melody is, but I can also, I could make that that's like, is that I think, simple enough melody where just that truly is a coincidence?
See, I don't think there's a connection, truly. I forget which, they either came out right at the same time. I want to say Boy Is Mine was first, but I almost think Zora's Domain is a little too Caribbean-ish in feel. It's got like the steel drum sound going on in there, where I thought after I heard it, I was like, I always thought this is just more the file select song, which will start having playing now.
Yeah, no, and here's the deal.
I think just because it's the harps. I think the harp sound is really what makes it a little closer for my pick. Fuck you, Rad.
Yeah, but Jim, you're wrong. Like, here's the deal. You may be right in the acoustics of it, like what's making the sound, but the melody is a hell of a lot closer for the Zora's Domain. And
I don't know, like,
no, trust me, like I listened to it multiple times and I was like, what is Jim talking, like, other than the fact of the potential harp, I'm like,
but also like the not just the harp, but like both Boy Is Mine and the file select song, like they're both going up and down the octaves almost, like do 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 do, like thing like that. That's what maybe that's what got it more with me. Maybe I'm thinking too musically about it. I don't know.
I think you're applying. Yeah, but like when it comes down to it, the melodies are almost completely different. Whereas even if the sounds, like what's producing it, is so different between the two, that dun 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 dun, like or not even that. I can't even remember it exactly off the top of my head. I can.
I'm doing it injustice.
We're both doing it terribly.
Yes.
But either way, for yourself, I think it sounds.
Let us know which one you think it sounds like more.
So, do we know which one came out first?
I could probably do a quick Google search. Ocarina of Time, I know, was 98. I'm probably wrong about that. But, wow, I cannot type.
Is there a chance? So here's what, like...
All right, so Boy Is Mine is 1998.
Okay.
And Ocarina of Time, come on, you fuck, is also 1998. Ooh. So... I don't think there's enough time for them to have one influence the other there.
So here's where, like, I would love better researchers than us, obviously, who could like be like, "Hey, man, the guy who produced it was best friends with the guy who did the music." Like, they were hanging together. Like, yo, I got this beat for this song. Like, whatever the case may be, like, I could see cross collaboration. But then again, chances are, whoever developed the music for The Boy Is Mine, I assume whoever created Zora's Domain is probably from Japan. So chances are they're probably not like that close together. I don't know, but it is odd that shit came together and it sounds that close melodically in general. So That's a hell of a pull, Rad. Like those are the type that really interest me. And
It's funny when he mentioned it. I was like, off the top of my head, from what I remembered of them, I was like, yeah, I can see that. Like they were just like burned in my brain.
Yeah. No, that's a great. I love that topic. And once again, if you hear something, you see something, because everything's inspired by something. So I'm sure there's a million more examples. Like I think one of the easiest one, we'll save it for next time. Actually, I think we'll just hit on it next time because I just thought of one that's a very obvious one, but still.
Okay, good, because I'm out of ideas for now. So you do the next one.
So Rad, thank you for that pick, Jim. I appreciate you trying to get in there, and I see what you were doing, but I think Rad was closer.
Was I trying to shove the tip in, but it just wasn't going?
Exactly. You're like, ooh. She's like,
it was bouncing out.
She's like, that's the bed of my butt cheek. What are you doing?
It was bouncing out, hitting a wrong direction. Now I'm in the hospital.
Damn it. All right, Jim. So I got a new one for you.
Look at this.
So kind of, not exactly, but kind of close going with the theme I did last time for Which Is Better. Or 2 times where I said Max Thunder versus Mike Hager.
Right.
I stuck with that a little bit, and I said, which is better, King from Tekken series or Zangief from Street Fighter? Both wrestlers. Just which one do you like better and why? So I'm actually going to let you start.
Okay. I'm probably going to steal your thunder with this, but I like King better. 1, cool tiger mask. 2, Armor King, also cool tiger mask, but with armor.
Well, isn't King a leopard mask? Let's just get that goddamn
right.
Let's just get that goddamn straight. He's not the Tiger King.
He could be a throwback to classic Japanese wrestler Tiger Mask.
He's not the Tiger King. He's not fighting Carol Baskins.
Yes. So yeah, but I mean, cool look. Way cooler look. His moveset, every time I pulled it off, I always felt lucky because it's such intricate button combinations. If you can really pull off those crazy combos and go into giant slams with King. Whereas Zangief, it's like fucking around with a goddamn full circle and then hitting a couple buttons. I hate doing Zangief's moves. So, and I mean, what Zangief got them? He's got the chest hair with the arrow, and in the movie he would put his thumb sideways, which that was funny. But King's just better. King, better look, better moveset, more satisfying moveset, and I mean, and there's 2 of them. There's no 2 Zangiefs, so there's 2 Kings. King wins.
Yeah, you and I are on the same page. I actually didn't know where you would go with this because I know you don't like Zangief, and I know you hate playing as him. Yeah. But I know you got such a boner for Street Fighter, whereas King, that's probably my favorite character from Tekken, followed by probably like Brian Fury and other people.
Tiger Mask.
But no, my whole thing was with King, I like you said, I could pull off those moves, and that's what I love. Like doing a standing Frankensteiner to somebody, like they see you flipping forward, they're like, oh cool, I'm about to get kicked. And I used to do it to you all the time.
Yes, you did, you motherfucker.
Because you would come in, like you were so predictable, like you'd be coming in, which is one of the reasons why Tekken is such a great fighting game. Like you'd be coming in low for something, and I would do that flip and connect to your head and do a Frankenstein, and you're like, God damn it, every time.
Yep.
But like
I never learned.
His moves just they were interesting, whereas Zangief to me felt like, and I don't know which game came out first, but Zangief felt like
it's Street Fighter 2 by a mile.
Oh no, you didn't even let me finish, Jim. Between Street Fighter 2 and Final Fight, I'm pretty sure Final Fight came out first, because Zangief always felt like a cheap Russian knockoff of Mike Hager, because that whole jumping, spinning pile driver that he does is the same exact move that Mike Hager does in some of the games, and their
drop kicks are very similar.
Drop kicks, the spinning clothesline, like a lot of it is just a cheap knockoff of him, just the Russian version. And they try to give him a backstory, like he's all scarred up. Like what was it? He wrestled bears. Like it just felt very like they wanted a wrestling character. Like I actually think they would have been better off had they just put Mike Hager in Street Fighter. But
it's kind of weird that they didn't, because they eventually put Cody in there. He became like a big player in Street Fighter.
My only guess is like because they were trying to do it like international, they're like, Well, we
Right.
already got a couple Americans. We need a Russian. What's in Russia? Oh, vodka bears. Wrestler.
What they should have done is make him a boxer instead of Mike Bison, and do vodka
Soda Popinski or
or-
Vodkinski. Yeah,
vodka Drunkinski from the arcade version to be more racist.
that would have actually been because I mean obviously. Oh no, that's Streets of Rage. I was gonna say that character in Streets of Rage 2.
Yeah.
He's kind of like the Russian. Yeah. So either way, I think King wins. I'd be curious if anyone really defends Zangief in this one. The only thing I will say I really hate, and whether it's the King or King 2, the original King, the blue pants, the yellow lightning or whatever, and the yellow boots, that's classic. When
Right.
he's like got that weird like leopard jacket on and that shit, I don't like how he looks there. I want the simple, more wrestler look. And oh man, don't even get me started about Iron King. Oh, he was a badass.
Oh yeah. He had like the Road Warriors armor on.
And dude,
Yeah.
no move felt better or more impactful than his wrestling moves versus like Zangief's. They were cool, they would pull off, but they didn't feel as cool and impactful as King's did.
I mean, they were. It's tough because they were both impactful and they both take off a fuckload of life if you pull off their moves. But King's was always part of like a combination almost, so it always like was more impressive.
Yeah. Plus, I loved King's dropkick if you did it while running across the entire map and the way that map was laid out. And it lasted so long. And if you knock somebody out of the stage, oh man, it was perfect. I love it. So, yeah, I honestly, I didn't think you would go. I didn't know where you would go because I know how much you don't like Zangief. So,
Yeah. I mean, like I always liked Tekken a lot too growing up. So King's an easy one. Even though I'm not good as either character, but I would much rather play as King.
gotcha. So let us know below if you guys prefer one or the other, or who you think is better. Not necessarily what's the better game series, because that's how it always seems to devolve. Which character do you prefer?
I like Fatal Fury more, so I'm going to go with Terry Bogard.
God damn it, Chip! Told you about that voice. Oh my god, you're owed so many slaps. All right.
Pride's part of my charm.
Fucker. All right, so overrated, underrated, and this one, it's very simple. It's probably not that controversial, not that crazy. We've sort of touched on this, especially with all the releases that have been coming up. But owning an arcade cabinet, do you think that's overrated or underrated? And here's my thinking. I'm talking when you gotta pay full price for a full working original arcade. I'm not talking about these new
Like a
mini
main
systems.
cab you buy. Yeah, fuck the arcade one-ups. Like, not even a main cab you build
Yeah.
yourself. Like an actual legit one, going to an auction and winning one.
Exactly. So let me give you the real quick genesis of this, because I was on Facebook Marketplace and somebody near me was selling a oh fuck, what was the game? Not California Drive. Need for Speed. They were selling a legit Need for Speed cabinet.
Oh, cool.
With the shifter, the pedals, but there was no screen, no guts. It was just the shell. And they were selling it for something like $80.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, that's pretty goddamn cheap. And I was like, I might actually try to get that. So I reached out. Still haven't heard anything, but we're really I was like, what would be cool is if I did that. I put in my own screen and make it a main cabinet. Like, put all the arcade stuff, put all the 16-bit, 8-bit games. But I was like, even then, like, that's not exactly the most comfortable thing to sit in to play. And it got me thinking, like, if I had the opportunity, even if it was one of my favorite arcade games, like we just actually covered that last time, like what were some of our favorite arcade games, would I want it? But then I look at what actual prices are for cabinets, and I'm like,
Right.
ooh, like, would that even be worth it? So I want to hear what you think. Like, knowing what the price is at, let's say at a minimum, you're going to pay $800, and maximum, who knows how much.
Right.
What do you think?
You know what? What is actually funny because like the Game Chasers, that YouTube channel, like the one guy wants to start his own barcade, So part of his gimmick now is he's been going to all these arcade auctions and buying like shitty or beat up or broken ones to try and restore them. So like I think the smart answer is to obviously say overrated, but I'm just gonna play the advocate and say underrated, just because in a lot of ways owning an arcade cab is like being a classic retro game or whatever you want to call it, where part of the fun of it is going out and getting that actual hardware, like having a thing that's going to be faulty or prone to problems. And sometimes part of the fun is trying to take something that is giving you trouble or isn't quite working right and getting it to work. So especially with a goddamn straight up arcade cabinet, like you got to worry about the screens, you got to worry about, I mean, arcade cabinets really aren't all that, pardon me, they aren't all that complicated for the most part. Like you need a power supply, you need a screen, you need the I/O board, and you need a cabinet with the controls. But you for the most part, if you're going to get it cheap, they're going to be either really beat up and shitty looking, or the screen's going to be dead, or the power supply is going to be rusted. Like there's going to be problems. So it almost seems like a lot of fun to like go and buy. Like my dream arcade cab to have just for my house would be one of those sit-down ones that are like the coffee table-looking ones, where it's like two-player, maybe it's like Space Invaders or Pac-Man,
it's built into it.
Yeah, like you have the table screen on top of it, and you have the the controls below it and shit like that. And like I think it would be fun. Like my best friend growing up, he used to have a Space Invaders one that never worked, and I was going to think about reaching out to him and being like, "Hey, do you want to get rid of that? Like, I would like to try and dig with it and try and get it to work again." But one day when I was over at my parents, I saw there was like raining out, and then I saw the cab outside in the rain, and I was like, that's not worth it at this point. So, like, I don't know. I think it'll be it's one of those cool like kind of pet projects, like almost being like a classic car owner or shit like that, where you know you're gonna have a lot of problems getting it to work, but once you do, like you're gonna have that extra sense of love playing it just because you put the care into it to keep it going. I think probably pinball machine owners feel the same way because that has mechanical parts out the ass, and if you know what you're doing, then you can keep them running forever. But it's such like a niche kind of thing. So I'll go underrated. I think that for the care you have to put into it, I think the payoff you get at the end is probably a feeling that you won't get with just like an arcade one-up or just making a main cab kind of deal.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying, and I can understand it. I guess I'm going overrated kind of
because it's unnecessary.
No. Almost for the same reason you are. Like, I completely agree. I would never put it in the same idea as a classic car, but I would put it as the idea of the arcade cabinet itself represents like getting everything original. That's such a great idea. But for me, and what a lot of kids today will never feel is like the idea of going into an arcade, and honestly, our generation is probably the last one that got the full feel.
Pretty much.
Like the experience.
Dave & Buster's doesn't compare. Yeah.
Yeah, like the experience of going to a legit arcade place, playing in a built, like going to the machine, seeing who's played it, what their scores are. Like you lose out on a lot of the stuff that makes the arcade a fun thing. Like you go to a place, you get your candy, you get your drinks, you're with your friends, you're socializing, you're playing with other people. If you just have an arcade cabinet in your basement and you're playing by yourself, you're losing all that right off the bat. So you're strictly down to just the game. And let's be honest, all the games we love, they're all great. But the other thing that made them great was the fact that like you're like, all right, I'm only spending $3 on this thing. I'm not really here to try to get the world record.
Right.
And if you have it in your house, you take it away because you're probably going to do something where you're like, I'm just going to keep playing until I beat it. You're taking like all the joy and fun out of the experience of it. It's like if you had the ability to, instead of just listening to a CD, you have a legit rock concert of your favorite band every time. Like that live experience is only going to be really produced when you're there with other people. It's a very limited thing, and whatever greatness comes out of it or badness comes out of it, it's a very once and a few time experiential thing. If you get the opportunity, you can play it hundreds of times. It diminishes all the value of that product. Like that's why arcade ports were always like they're a cool idea, but they could never quite compare. And even if you got a system like the Neo Geo that could really like you're pretty much arcade perfect with sound, with this, there was that feel that is completely you're never going to emulate from an actual arcade place. So I feel like you're just diminishing that value, and unless you're doing it like did you say Game Chasers?
Yeah.
Unless you're doing it like them, where you're creating a barcade or you're doing it for a purpose. If you're doing it for a personal collection, you're taking a legit cabinet and parts off the street where you're now exclusively doing it for you and your friends. So you're limiting its use, which I don't, I'm all for like wanting to collect stuff, but
I mean, he's making a barcade for it too, so it's going to get the end goal is to get used.
No, he is, but I'm saying how many people are legit getting original parts, components, everything, and literally just have it in their garage or in their downstairs for personal use where nobody else is going to get to play it.
I know a few people.
So it's a bit of a selfish thing. That's why, like, I'd much rather you do a main.
But actually, to that point, is it better that at least you have them down there and they're getting used than them sitting in a warehouse somewhere and never being touched?
I guess I always look at, like, there's a higher potential that eventually somebody will rather come along and do a arcade or do a business that's going to get mass produced versus you just having it in your basement. Because chances are you're just going to pass it off to another buyer or your own kids. So the chances, warehouse I'm not happy about either, but at the end of the day, most likely someone like a Game Chaser or somebody making a business is going to get it for those reasons. And it's the private collectors that, like, that's kind of fucked up because now it's going to pretty much stay in that family forever, and that takes out circulation to the public. And for me, arcade cabinets, they define public gaming. Everything else is completely for home use. You can emulate it, you can do this, you can do that, but arcade cabinets, the whole purpose of them was for as many people as possible playing it, because the games, once again, if you get perfect at it, what arcade game goes past 2 hours, 3 hours of playing tops? Like,
almost none.
You could beat it a million fucking times, and then what are you gonna do with it? It's just sitting there. Maybe show your friends, maybe, like, there's a point where now it's just a big block of space taking up whatever in your thing, and it's just a selfish endeavor at that point. And even if you have all your childhood memories associated with it, I'd rather you get that, donate it, or whatever, if you have the means, donate it to somewhere local so you can still go there and play it and get that experience. That's the whole purpose of the arcade machine itself. So
yeah, I'm trying to
say it's overrated just for that idea of it's just a selfish thing where that particular device was built for a very specific reason. It's like if you had the ability, when people have the ability to rent out like goddamn Disneyland, if you get it built in your backyard, part of the fun is like going there and doing the experience. It's not just having that one ability to play or do it at your whim. Like, the limited resources of it is what makes it so fun. You were saying X-Men and Simpsons might be overrated, but it's not when you knew you could only have 2 or 3 shots at playing it, and they were really fun to play with your friends in short bursts. When you can play it at home and beat it really quick, yeah, they're not hard games. They're not that crazy, and it's like, okay, what's so good about it? It was just that experience on that particular cabinet with random people and the sounds and whatever. So
yeah, and I'm trying to find prices for the PCB board for Need for Speed, because seeing you like saying that you have like you could easily get that cab, it's like, shit, that would be cool to make a legit Need for Speed cab out of that. But I think I saw one that was maybe like 200-ish, but I can't wind down to like in real one. It always comes up like Need for Speed Carbon or Need for Speed Underground. Shit like that.
And for me, like I said, I honestly consider getting that just because, honestly, for now, I would throw that shit in my garage. I would build a new monitor in there. I would get a main cabinet. And because it has the ability to sit down, I would literally have a controller. And I would build it for my kids and, like, for us to just sit down and, like, fuck around. And it's just cool. You're sitting, like, in a car thing. It's not to replicate the original machine. It's
right.
Like, for whatever reason, the guts were pulled out of that machine. And they just have the shell of it. And I'm like, that'd be kind of just a neat thing, like a mini arcade, but it's not all the original parts. So, yeah. No, I'm very curious what other people think. I'm probably in a minority because I'm probably getting to whatever about it. But, yeah, I just say it's overrated for those other reasons, not so much for the what you were pointing out, like the collectability of it all.
Right. I hear you.
Yeah. So let us know what you guys think below. And with that, I don't...
Kills the normal topics. We have, we could always do our thingamajigger, our tier list. That's what it is.
Shit, I do not have that in front of me right now. Hold on. Well, what I will say...
I don't have yours. I need you to send me yours. I sent you all the other ones.
All right, well, how about this? For the tier maker, we sent it out, and we had all of our Patreons, and thank you once again for sending them. By the time you listen to this, go over to our website. The link is going to be below. Check out who we chose as the winner and what it was for. And if you'd like to participate this week while you're watching this, if you just do $1 on Patreon, you can join in the conversation. You can have submissions, and we'll choose the winner from our next tier maker list. Because the last time it was the best NES, what was the last one?
The one that we were supposed to talk about tonight was the best, the best from the Genesis Classic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my other phone died on me, so I don't have my photo with me.
Bri, you and your terrible planning and prep.
You didn't have it on I didn't plan it, Jim.
Oh, you should know it as a thing that we do. It's not my fault.
So, Jim, to get to your goddamn White Claw.
Yeah, I have it. It's not the best flavor.
Yeah. There's no such thing as good flavor White Claw. There's just it's okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
I finished the Angry Order. I mean, if you're not a beer guy and you're just trying to get into it and you like apple juice, I mean, that's what hard cider essentially is. Goes down way too easily, and it's 5% alcohol. It's really light, so.
Yeah, I think for our patrons, just so they're not, completely gypped about us not talking about the tiers, I'll do an article on the webpage. I'll send it out to everyone. So I'll give my thoughts on everyone's list, and I'll pick my winner. Bri, you can do the same if you want.
Same, yeah.
And we'll just, I'll throw you a Google Doc, and we can all throw it as one thing, put it on the website, bada boo.
Yeah. So with that, guys, thank you once again.
Oh, also, for the tier list, patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $1 a month, you can play along with our tier lists, and you get a weekly shout-out on Twitter.
You mean what I just said?
No, you didn't.
I literally just said that.
No, you didn't. You probably
not
did.
Not the shout-out, but I wasn't paying attention.
Else.
Hey, yeah, exactly. You son of a bitch.
I've been drinking all night. You have no excuse. We were sober.
So, with all that, thank you guys for watching. Once again, if you do enjoy listening to us and you want to watch us on YouTube, love it. Make sure you tell your friends about us, subscribe. But we are available on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher. So we're available pretty much all the major platforms, and you can always visit us at DrinkABeerandPlayAGame.com. And with that, we will just say good night and cheers.
Cheers, guys.